Hey everyone, welcome to my channels, Burskers and Purrs. So on the beautiful YouTube algorithm, there was a tag that was floating around, the one I'm about to do, off the top of your head, book tag, and it just seemed fun. So I thought I'd try it out um, while I had the time. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and have the details for the person that originally created this tag and the person's video that I saw in the first place doing that. So they'll be in the details. All right, the first question is, what's your favorite book as a child? Oh gosh, that's probably going to be Amelia Bedelia. I love Amelia Bedelia, and I just remembered it was a Halloween one, the holidays. I read a lot of the holidays one. There's a Christmas one and there's a Halloween Amelia Bedelia, the original one, where she's in the maid outfit. That was just so funny, tickles me. And in fact, I have both of those. I have the Halloween and the Christmas one to this day. And during the holidays, I read it to myself and my daughter, even though I'm an adult and she's a teenager. It's just so cute. I can't help myself. Um, the next one is, what book series did you love as a child? I wasn't really into any book series as a child, so I'm gonna have to go with my teen years and choose the Vampire Chronicles, which you already know I'm obsessed with because I have content now on here ever since that adaptation on AMC came out. And so yeah, once I hit that like the teen years, I definitely had like intermittent bouts of like insomnia, and I would just tear through the Vampire Chronicles. I was like so obsessed. I love the characters. I felt really pulled into their world, and really just how Anne Rice captures. I know it's like, I don't know how to say it. I know it's about vampires, but really it's like if you strip that all away and just focus on the emotional core of the characters and what they're doing. The author's just really exploring uh, the monstrousness of society as it exists, and yeah, and it just got taken away. So yeah, that's all I could think about. What was the worst book you've read or try to read? Oh gosh, you know what? I wish I could say there was not one, but recently, I think it was, there's a YouTuber and their channel's called See the Superior, and they just read The Great Gatsby for their book club, and the memories came flooding back of having to read it for school, and I just did not like that book. Even though I do understand the importance of the conversations that's going on in the book about capitalism, it's just the way that's written is so dry, and it was just, the reading of it was tough to get through. But then talking about it after, there's plenty to talk about. And I have to say, similarly, although I know this is not going to be a popular opinion, The Handmaid's Tale, if I could say that, by Margaret Atwood, is a beloved book. It's created into a television series. Um, that was one of those books where it's written in such a dry way, and also the main character is, so much of what her existence is so restrained and in observation. So when I was reading it, I was getting so frustrated. And I read it for a book club pick. And man, my lovely friend had to put up with me because I was so frustrated. But it was one of those things, once I was done reading it, then I had so much to talk about with everyone as a group. So wild how that works. But yeah, I guess you could say worst books. That's all I could think of. Okay, what is your favorite reading or book memory? Oh, I don't want to be too redundant. There's too many. Definitely, I'm gonna go back to childhood, Amelia Bedelia. Then there was Frog and Toad, just like all those pleasant slice of life type reads. And then in adulthood, I'd have to say A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin, which was then adapted into, A Game of Thrones. Those books also swept me away in a way that I was really shocked by, and was not expecting to be, swept in, but my brother had talked me into reading them, and they were just so worth it, so worth it. I mean, that's kind of like a thread I see going on between the Vampire Chronicles and Game of Thrones is both of those writers have us so invested in the characters, whether whether the character you consider as a villain or not, it's about being invested in each person's like perspective. And so yeah, those kind of books that are like very character driven really like sweep me away. Um, what is a book you loved as a movie? Oh my goodness. I have a copy on my shelf, but I don't want to run and get it. Um, Amy Tan's Joy Luck Club. Actually, the Joy Luck Club and Interview the Vampire, those movie adaptations came out, I want to say around the same time in the 90s. And I both those movie adaptations, I just remember seeing the trailer, and that's actually what got me into reading both those books. Um, and Amy Tan, both these female writers, right? Anne Rice and Amy Tan were two writers that, although I did like reading, they really got me invested in reading. And Joy Luck Club, I just love that it's like this generational family saga in a way, and how well it was captured in the movie of just we see a generation of women that leave one country for another in hopes that their kids have not just a better life but escape like the patriarchy and the restraint of what they had been in, but then they're raising their kids in America and they actually find themselves in some iterations of like similar trappings. um and I just found that like really profound on top of like the dynamics between mother and daughter. But the movie did it beautifully. I mean, it swept me away. There was so little that was cut away from the books. Um, but what was kind of made sense. It was like fine that it was taken out. But yeah, that movie is still incredible to this day. So if you have not seen The Joy Luck Club, watch it. It's worth it. Okay, what is a book you wish they make into a movie? I'm just getting started on Honey Fedorikib's There's Always This Year, so I have a bunch of his books right near me, as reference. So I'd have to say this is kismet and it works out, make into a movie. There are like 2 of his books that really stand out for me that I'd like to be made in a movie. One is A Little Devil in America. Sorry, I have like all these notes and Post-its, it's crazy. Um, A Little Devil in America, um, In Praise of Black Performance. What I love about this book is that there's so many important, iconic figures, um, and he is exploring like not just how they perform in their art form, but how do they have to perform in society? How do they navigate? There's just layers upon layers upon layers. I absolutely love this. The author was on the Stacks podcast with, I'm gonna mess up her name. I think her name is Tracy. I get nervous because I flip her name around for some reason. Um, and it's a really great interview, and I'm bringing that up because he even discusses his choice for the book cover. And what we see is 2 people dancing, and this is actually like from a competition. And he's speaking about like how excited one of the dancers is because not only is she excited to dance, but it's almost like that like, oh my gosh, we're doing it, that excitement of we're doing the thing. And that just encapsulates like um what he's talking about in the book. Anyway, so I'm going off on a tangent. So I would love if this was made not into just like a movie, but like a mini series. If this could be made into a mini series and then have Hanifa Durikib narrate, that would be incredible. Or because my mind goes wild, yes, it would be nice if he narrated, or if for each chapter where they're tackling a different person, if it could be a different like artist doing the narration. Like maybe it'll start off with Hanif and end with Hanif Abdurraqib, but then we have people like Spike Lee, who's this like iconic director writer. If he could tackle one of these, that would be like just the narration part will be really cool. Anyways, my mind's going wild. So there's that one, and I have so much stuff of him right here. There's another one. It's called This is the Third Book by Hanifa Durkheeb. It's a love letter to a group, a sound, and an era. And it's called Go Ahead in the Rain, Notes to a Tribe Called Quest. And this is it's been a while since I read this, but this is more like these two books seem like they're like in conversation with each other in a way, where it's like in praise of artists. And so I feel like if there was ever going to be like a mini series about a tribe called Quest, I would like it to be done in the style of Hanifa Durkheeb writing this love letter um, to this instrumental band that he is praising. That would just be really cool if, yeah, if Hanif Durkheeb did the narration for it, but it was still captured in the way that he wrote it here, if that makes any sense. Have you read this? That would be incredible. But I would also like that. You see, this is supposed to be a movie, but I want like a mini series. I like mini series because there's more room to breathe. There's more to explore in a way. So yeah, those two. Who was a character you would like as a friend? Oh, oh, it's a book I just read. The romance book I just read. Out on a Limb. I can't believe I even have an answer for this. There is Bo, and what's the other character's name? My brain just went blank. I just got excited. The two main characters in Out on a Limb, which is a romance book, and more so Bo, I'd want to be friends with. It's a romance book. As you know, I'm challenging myself each month to read one romance. This particular author, Hannah Bonham Young, I read one of her books for my book club challenge, and I liked her writing so much that I ended up reading Out on a Limb. And the characters just feel so lived in, so real, that by the time I was done reading the book, I just wanted to stay in that world and be friends with those characters. And they were just very sweet, kind, generous characters. And so, yeah, Bo does it for me. Where is a place you want to visit because of a book you read? That's a good question. I don't know if I have an answer, and I should. Oh no. You know what? I read so much dark material. I read so much dark material. It's hard to pick something that's remotely joyous. Gosh, what's something that made me laugh? Um, I don't know. I'm stumped. I don't know if I have an answer. A place I'd want to visit. Hmm. I'm taking too long to answer. Maybe I would choose Rainbow Milk. Rainbow Milk takes place in Europe. And so I have never been, so maybe that would be an option. I'm trying to think of something that's not so bleak from what I've read, even though Rainbow Milk is quite bleak itself. But yeah, that would be maybe a nice overcast trip that I would enjoy. That's all I could think of. What is a nonfiction book that you would recommend? Oh, I don't have it on me. There is Decolonize the Mind by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. He's a Kenyan author. There's a ton of his nonfiction that I look forward to reading. Um, he's an author, an artist. He's written plays, and during I want to say apartheid, when he would write plays that actually landed him in prison, and because what he was doing was crafting something, and he wrote about it a little bit in one of his books talking about when spaces have been colonized, how do you like decolonize them? And one of them was the act of art, of theater in indigenous languages rather than like the colonizer's language. And so he went on to talk about that and, like the subjects that are important to him in included with crafting the story, because then also that affects who is cast in the roles, right? It would have to be people that could speak those languages. And so, yeah, I want to read all his work. There's one of them, I'm going to have to look it up later, but there's one where he writes about his experience in prison that I want to read. And I think that's also one that I would recommend. But definitely to start off, since it's such a short book, almost like a novella, I would yeah, I would recommend Decolonizing the Mind. If you could hang out with an author for a day, who would it be and why? I think you already know the answer to this. Um, I don't know. I become socially inept around people I admire, so this is probably going to be a bad idea. But I would love to spend, I don't know, not a whole day. I'd be so like, I'd be a mess with Hanifa Durkheeb, and but not just anywhere. In Washington State, there's a tulip festival. I think it happens seasonally. I took my daughter once when she was a little bit older than a toddler, um, because I was visiting a friend in Washington State, and it is like one of the most beautiful memories. There's just the land and the tulips, and people come from all over just to see these tulips. And if you've read any of his work, you know that he loves fresh flowers. So I think that would be a great way to be able to roam around the area without feeling the pressure of needing to talk. But that would be pretty cool. Oh, yeah, and lastly, I don't think this was in the original book tag, but someone kinda tacked this on as a question. So this isn't just a question for me, but that's a question for you to answer in the chat, and that is, what is the last book you gave to someone as a gift? And you know what? I can't remember. I There's like quite a few books I tend to give as gifts. What was the last one? The last one, it may have been Out on a Limb. Another one, but it's been a while, was A Christmas Truce by Emma Bennett. It's also a romance. It's a thin book. It's a quick and easy read. It's enemies to lovers. The main character is someone that is just feeling like a little bit lost in their life, trying to figure themselves out. They end up quitting their job, I believe, and breaking up with their boyfriend. They take a job. I think they kind of like find out about it through their friend. And although it comes with its challenges, she finds that it's like the right fit for her, but also that she has this kind of like really great friction and connection to her boss that worked really well for me in ways that um, enemies to lovers doesn't really work for me. But in that particular book, um, it it worked really well. You know, it wasn't coming from like some unhealthy place. I'm not really like not comfortable with. So yeah, I'd have to say that's all I can think of. If you have not done this tag, please go ahead and do it, whether I tag you or not. I just thought this would be like a little fun thing to do with you all. And also get to know about your different reading tastes and experiences. All right, everyone. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the chat.